Hello, and welcome to GCSE History. I'm Mr. and in this video we will be answering two key questions. What is it that you will be studying, and why should you take GCSE History? It's going to be a short video, giving you a flavour of what history is like. If you have any questions, then please do get in touch. The door and email inbox is always open. Let's get started. GCSE History is made up of 4 units spread over 2 exams. The American West, World War I, Medicine and Elizabeth I. In total, there are 18 questions. And don't worry, only 2 questions check for spelling, punctuation and grammar. In the American West, we tell the story of how the United States grew as a country, with settlers going from the East Coast to the West. As more and more people travelled west, conflict starts to emerge between different groups. We see vigilantes administering tough justice. You could be hanged, for instance, for stealing a horse. We also see boarding schools for Native American children being established, with the hope of civilising the indigenous people. Many whites thought that these natives were wasting the land, and they were eventually forced to live on reservations whilst the white man killed the buffalo and laid rail. At one famous boarding school, the motto was, "Kill the Indian, save the man." The causes and consequences of the American Civil War is also a vital part of the course. We see how the election of President Abraham Lincoln in 1860 led to many states in the South deciding to break away to form the Confederate States of America because they were worried that he would end slavery, which their southern economies depended on. Now, you will have had a sneak peek of what the World War I unit is like at the start of Year 8. We go into detail as to why World War I actually broke out. Was it the aggressive German leader? Was it the desire for Britain to protect its navy and empire? Or was it more nuanced and one that involved a terrorist group like that of the Black Hand? All of these will be looked at as the causes of the First World War. We will go into the war itself and answer the question, why wasn't the war over by Christmas? What was it about the trench system, machine guns and poisonous gas that led to an ongoing stalemate? There are certain places that you will have heard of, Verdun, the Somme, Gallipoli, maybe even Jutland. But what are they, and why are they still remembered to this day? Why did we have battles, and what was the purpose behind them? This is exactly what you will be looking at. Fun fact, the British soldiers were so confused as to how to pronounce the Belgian town of Ypres that they called it Wipers. Next, we move on to the bloody part of our course, the history of medicine. We look at the journey that we have been on, from drilling holes into people's heads in order to release the demon that is obviously causing your headaches thousands of years ago, called trepanning, to modern-day sophisticated techniques such as keyhole surgery, gene therapy, and washing your hands to the sound of Happy Birthday. Twice. We've come a long way. On this journey, we will look at why leeches were all the rage in the Middle Ages, and why there was so much opposition to the introduction of anaesthetics and vaccinations in the 1800s. Just think, some people were actually opposed to pain-free surgery. We look at why opposition existed and how new techniques won the day. Fun fact, before the discovery of antiseptic techniques, should you fall and suffer a compound fracture, that's one where the bone punctures the skin, there was a 90% chance that you would have your arm or your leg amputated. And then, because of a lack of understanding of how disease spread, there was a 50% chance that you were going to die from infection. The final unit looks at the greatest monarch that we have ever been blessed to have, Elizabeth I. Her story is just poetry. Despite never being given a chance due to her background, despite all the obstacles in her way with society saying she couldn't do it because she was a woman, and despite all of the plots against Elizabeth I, she elevated England's status both at home and abroad. We look at her secret spy network that helped foil several Catholic plots against her with the desire to get Mary Queen of Scots on the throne. We look at how she supported sailors like Drake to circumnavigate the globe, robbing Spanish settlements on the way. And finally, we study how Elizabeth and her advisors helped defeat the Spanish and their armada in 1588. In short, we look at how Elizabeth I ruled. Now, I can bombard you with data. I could say how the history department consistently gets above national average in terms of performance. You can see that the numbers speak for themselves over the last few years, so you can have the peace of mind knowing you are joining a strong department. But there is a more fundamental reason as to why you should pick history. It's your duty to pass the torch of civilization on. Back around 2003, and watching the news, Basra was mentioned on the TV, and my granddad turned to me and said how he once played football as a young lad in the Navy, visiting Basra, kicked some sand and broke his foot because he didn't see the rock underneath. He also mentioned how on D-Day he remembers just looking around and seeing boats everywhere. This is history. It's not something glorious or profound, nor is it a particularly poignant event, but it is who we are. Our stories are passed from one generation to the next. By taking up history for GCSE, you are picking up the torch of human civilization and carrying it on. Even by telling you this story about my granddad keeps him and his memory alive long after his death. History is the story of who we are, where we have come from, and where we will be going as a result. Pick up the torch, and thank you for watching.